As a mountain biker, I've been looking for the best possible way to store and transport my bikes. I tested some cheap Temu options that completely failed me. But I think I just found something that's gonna solve all of my problems. This is the very first mountain bike storage rack I got. I got this thing off Temu back when I first started mountain biking. It worked good at first. It stored all my gear up top, but after a while, this thing was just kind of falling apart and it took up way too much space in my garage. This Vevor 4-bike storage rack is another one that I tried. I was actually pretty excited to try this. I love the way it stacks the bikes up vertically. It'll fit 2 on the front, 2 on the back, so like 4 bikes total, but it stores your bike like from the dropper post essentially. So this thing is definitely made more for like road bikes with like a top tube that's kind of like just flat and straight and you could hang the bike on there, or maybe bikes without dropper posts. It was a cool rack, but definitely just didn't fit my needs, and I knew I needed to find something a little bit better. This vertical freestanding rack right here was pretty close to being what I wanted. It stores all your bikes vertically, so it takes up a lot less space in the garage. It's a freestanding bike rack, which means you don't have to mount it to a wall. You can put this thing anywhere you want it, which gives you a lot more options for where you want to store your bikes. For me, I got a 3-car garage and I'm kind of storing my bikes like right in the middle of that garage, so I don't want to have to mount my bike rack to a wall. But after mounting my bike on this thing, I noticed a couple issues. The hooks on this thing, they have rubber coating, but the rubber coating is kind of cheap. It's already starting to rip right up here on the top. Initially, these hooks were actually secured by these little quick release pins right here, and those things were just not holding it in. The hooks would just pop off as you tried to mount your bike up here. I bolted the hooks in, tried to fix that, but even after doing that, I just noticed these hooks were just gonna end up damaging my wheels after time. You have to be really careful when you're hanging your wheel up there, not to leave it resting right on the spoke. Shit. You don't want that nipple to get damaged. You don't want to end up with broken spokes when you're riding. And even after doing that, it's kind of a tight fit on that hook, so it's definitely going to damage the wheel. Like, listen to this. It just kind of like, your wheel just kind of like barely squeezes off of that hook. And I know over time that's going to lead to damaging my rims. It's already scratched up a couple of the rims on my bike. So I knew there had to be a better option than this freestanding rack. It was close. It gave me that kind of freestanding vertical bike storage, but it wasn't like the ultimate solution. So maybe I needed to quit messing around, quit trying these cheap Temu racks, spend just a tiny bit more money, still try and get a good deal, but find the ultimate bike rack. Now initially I was thinking of going with something like the Velocirax, but those things are so damn expensive. So after doing just a little bit more searching, I came across these JB racks. So today's the day where I'll be putting this JB 5-bike rack with the stand to the test to see if this is the ultimate bike rack and bike storage solution for my truck and for my garage. All right, let's get this thing rolled in the garage, see how it fits. All right, I think that's kind of like where it's gonna live right there. It rolled in pretty easy. It doesn't have the biggest wheels on the bottom. It's got like these kind of little small rubber like caster wheels, but rolled pretty decent. I got some pretty deep cracks in my garage right here. Rolled over those with ease. Of course, I don't have any bikes loaded on it, but to be honest with you, I don't really plan on rolling this thing all the way out to the garage with all the bikes loaded. With all the bikes loaded, I probably would just roll it just enough to maybe get it in and out of the way, readjust it, kind of maybe move it over if I'm working on something in the garage. If I was going to use this thing on my truck, I probably would have to, or probably would want to like offload all the bikes, roll this thing all the way out of the garage, hook it up to the back of my truck, and then put the bikes back on. But let's get the bikes loaded up and we'll talk a little bit more, go over some of the features on this JB rack. So you can see right there how I have this rack set up in between the two garages. Gives me enough room to pull a car in on the 2-car garage side, and still gives me enough room on the 1-car garage side to be able to do whatever I want. When I first saw the JB racks, what caught my attention right away was just how similar they looked to those like really expensive Velocirax, yet this thing was coming in at a fraction of the price. And I'm not saying this thing is cheap, but when I think about it, it kind of strikes that perfect balance, or that happy medium. Because I tried the cheapest option, and those Temu racks definitely didn't work out. But the more expensive options like the Velocirax just cost way too much. So I think this is the happy medium, kind of strikes that balance. It's like the Goldilocks of bike racks, if you want to call it that. And the most important thing about this is it came with this floor stand, which meant I could use it not only to transport bikes on my truck, but to also store bikes like I'm doing right now in my garage. But there's still a question that we need to answer. Are you saving money without sacrificing quality? So straight out of the box, I had a couple concerns with this rack. The amount of parts and pieces and bolts and screws gave me some serious PTSD style flashbacks from assembling IKEA furniture.
Oh boy, I was afraid of this.
What?
These instructions are a pictographic representation of the least imaginative way to assemble these components. This right here is why Sweden has no space program.
Now, they do have a QR code on the leg down there that you can scan. It brings you straight to the website, and on the website, when I was building it, they had a PDF instruction and they had a video. But for some stupid reason, I decided to skip reading the PDF instructions, and the video I was following along didn't do the best job kind of showing me close-up shots and letting me know exactly how to assemble this thing. At one point in time, I was about to throw in the towel. I installed this bar right here completely backwards, had to disassemble the rack, put it all back together. But there's some good news for you guys out there, because Run Bike Mike partnered with JB Racks, and Mike made an amazing YouTube video, detailed steps, good close-up shots. I'll throw a link in the description to Run Bike Mike's video. He does a great job, and if I had that video when assembling this rack, it would have made assembly so quick, so easy, and so much more painless. Now that we've covered the assembly, let's go over some of the features of this JB rack. This specific rack holds up to 5 bikes, and it's designed to handle everything from road bikes to your standard trail bikes, even fit this little 20-inch kids bike on there, and it will hold e-bikes. However, each one of these is rated up to 55 pounds, and just out of curiosity, I threw my massive size XL, full power Polygon e-bike on there. That's definitely not the lightest. Dang, here goes this bike weighs over 60 pounds right now. Thought it was like 58, but I did add that coil shock on there, so maybe that's why. Dang, 60 pounds. Anyways, this stand is rated for 55 pounds. I would feel comfortable throwing my e-bike on there. Heavy girl. So it's definitely a little bit heavy, but like I said, I would still feel comfortable throwing it on this rack, because the total load capacity with all 5 bikes is up to 220 pounds. So even with that heavier e-bike on there, the rest of these bikes, it doesn't go over that max weight. The vertical hanging system on this rack means that the bikes are super easy to load and to unload. Get stuck in the cracks a little bit like that, but the base on this thing, let's see, feels pretty dang sturdy actually. Feels really sturdy even when you're rolling around. Like I said, it's got those smaller rubber wheels, so with the deeper cracks I got here in my garage, it does get kind of stuck every once in a while, and you got to give it just like a little bit nudge to get it rolling again. But other than that, rolls super easy, feels really nice and sturdy. It's got this strut in the back right here, this slow folding strut. So you basically just pull the 2 pins out right here, and that allows you to lower this rack down even further, make it even easier to roll the bikes on there. But to be honest with you guys, like, it's so easy to roll the bikes on right now. I don't even know if I need this strut. This is an additional option, an additional add-on that you can buy. So buy it maybe if you're a little bit shorter and it's going to be harder for you to get the bikes up there. Maybe for like a heavier e-bike like that, it would make it just a little bit easier with that slow kind of strut to kind of bring the bikes down to you. And when I get it on the truck, maybe it'll come into play and be a little bit more something I would use just a little bit more on the truck to get those bikes down just a little bit lower to me, make it easier to pop those things off. Oh, and I love that these caster wheels, you know, lock out for you like that. So you can unlock them, lock them, keep that thing from moving. Unlock them, rolls back and forth with these. All right, let's roll this thing out onto the truck. Oh, also, you can see it clears the garage door easily. Even if it had those bikes on there, I could tell it would easily clear underneath this garage door and fit if I was gonna roll it out to my truck that way. Let's get this thing mounted onto the truck. A lot of cars passing by, so apologize for the noise. Let's see how this thing works. Rolls super easy. Let's go ahead, we'll lock out those caster wheels. And then we got this little extra piece right here to just kind of keep the rack from rattling around. But we got this, unscrew this right here. This kind of just keeps that rack secure in there. And then you got this little pin that you pull out. All right, let's see how hard this thing is to take off the stand and put onto the truck. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Freaking loud ass cars with their winter tires. All right, let's try that slow folding again. Just one thing I want to see real quick. Oh, I think we just ran into a problem, you guys. So the strut allows the rack to dip back quite a bit, but for a full-size truck like mine, the tailgate won't quite open all the way. Now you can still access the bed of the truck right now, but if you want to be able to use your tailgate like I like to be able to sit on the bed, this just isn't gonna work. I think I got a solution. Let's go fix this. So, when I was kind of nerding out researching these style racks, I saw that people run into the same issue with their Velocirax. Now, Velocirax offers you an additional like hitch extender you can buy off them for over $100, but I think I can find a much cheaper way to get the same type of hitch extender and make this JB rack work with my tailgate fully open. And for that, we need to head over to my favorite budget-friendly store, Harbor Freight. Let's see. Got it. Found what I was looking for. Let's get back to the house and see if this thing works. All right, let's get this rack back off of here. Gently kind of set this thing down. And then sew this thing in. All right. Now, this is back in. Now I am gonna have to throw another pin in there, but let's just try and test this out and see if this works. I mean, it already opens up without even putting that thing back. Heck yeah. So now I got the bed of this truck, or the tailgate, fully accessible. I could hop on the back here when I'm out riding the way I like to use it. There are some additional clearance issues you're gonna run into now that I dropped the bike rack down a little bit lower. So if you're back on more rugged, kind of like fire roads where you're having to worry about this bike rack kind of scraping back there, that could be an issue. But for the general fire roads that I ride on to get out to the mountain bike trails that I like to ride, I think this is going to be a good setup. So how do JB racks stand up to more expensive options like Velocirax? From everything I could tell by searching online, Velocirax is definitely a premium brand. But for that premium name brand, you're paying that premium price. JB Racks gives you the same functionality, vertical bike storage, garage stand, easily loads on your truck, has that strut to be able to lower the bikes down for a fraction of the price. The only real downside is that this bike rack is quite a bit more complicated to assemble than something from Velocirax, but follow that video I got down there in the description from Run Bike Mike, and setup should really be easy. So if you're looking to save hundreds without really sacrificing much in performance or durability, then JB Racks is really a solid option for you. Now, my plan is to use this bike rack mostly for just garage storage. I use my tailgate pad when I'm hauling bikes around on my truck, but occasionally on the longer road trip, when I want to be able to have my tonneau cover completely down, have things secured in the back of my truck there, and still have bikes on the back, I'll use a bike rack. So this is gonna allow me to, pull this thing out of the garage, throw it on the truck, and now that I got that 4-inch hitch extender on there, I know I'll be able to lay the tailgate down all the way, access the bed of my truck completely. So this is really gonna solve all of my bike storage and bike rack needs, which means I can get rid of those cheap Temu racks, maybe try and sell them for a little bit. I don't know, hit me up. You guys wanna buy a cheap Temu rack that I just complained about and showed you all of its faults? Now, of course, this JB rack, it's not perfect, but I think it's a solid option. I got links down there in the video description if you guys want to check it out. This video is not sponsored, but the links in my videos do help support the channel. They help me make more videos like this, and more importantly, it gives you guys quick access to be able to just hop down there, click on the link, and get to the exact bike rack in this case that I'm talking about, as well as some of the other Polygon bikes that I got on the side over there. But let me know in the comments, what bike rack do you currently use, and would you be interested in a JB rack? Thanks for tuning in, you guys, and as always, get stoked, go ride, and have some fun, people.